recording this. All right, we have John who's going to give us the lowdown on Seabourn since he just returned from Antarctica.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Nikki, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. I am incredibly excited about the experience that I just had. So hopefully that will come through as I go. I will start out with an apology. For some reason, my Zoom slides are not working great. So they're going to be small screen like you see, and I couldn't get them to display. So it'll still more or less work, and much of this is going to be about a discussion. So I would just encourage you to jot down your thoughts if you've got some questions as we proceed forward. But I would love to take the next few minutes and just talk through our expedition product in a little more detail, and maybe a little bit about what to expect and what not to expect and how the experience goes so that you've got a little more firsthand experience. I recognize a few names on the list here, and you all have been great supporters of Seabourn, and truly appreciate everything that Endavo is doing for Seabourn and for our products. As you know, we have ocean ships, we have and we have our two new expedition ships. And I think that's, usually a good place to start is the 5 ocean ships, 450 to 600 passengers. Those are sailing all over the world. What we're really going to focus on today, though, is our two brand new expedition ships, the Seabourn Venture, which came out in the summer of 22. And then in August of 23, we took Seabourn Pursuit. And both ships operated in the Antarctic this season for the first time. So we had 2 ships which will continue to run in the Antarctic and do that on an ongoing basis. A lot of people ask what's kind of the difference with Seabourn, and I think it really comes down to those ships. It comes down to smaller capacity ocean ships, small capacity expedition ships. We've created a yacht-like, club-like experience on Seabourn, and I think that's really a key differentiator for us. The platform itself allows us to do unique destinations. Expedition is, in particular, that kind of unique destination. And then it's really our team that brings it together and brings it, full circle and makes the reality, makes that Seabourn experience and creates those Seabourn moments on board. In all of our suites, Expedition and Ocean, we have 2 individuals assigned to every suite. So you've got that sort of butler-like focus and attention of individuals that can make that personal space come to life for you. And then we have incredible teams throughout the ship. And then on Expedition, and we'll talk more about this, the Expedition team itself is what curates and makes that experience so wonderful for everyone. And then we do special experiences. Our ocean ships, we do Caviar in the Surf. We do the Evening at Ephesus on our ocean ships in the Med. But in colder climates, we're obviously not going to do Caviar in the Surf. So we do Caviar on the pool deck. And it's beautiful scenery and caviar and champagne. Sometimes you're going to wear gloves if it's a cool enough day on the back deck by the pool, but it really is a fantastic experience even in colder climates. And then it's all inclusive, particularly with Expedition. On our ocean ships, shore excursions are additional. And that's, other than spa services and those kinds of things, that's all that would not be included on Ocean. And on Expedition, everything's included. All of the expedition experiences, every single day that we stop somewhere, we go to a port, we go to a remote spot, the expedition landings, the Zodiac sightseeing, all of that is included and curated by the expedition team, and really, helps create that experience. On Expedition, you can purchase a guided kayaking trip. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. And our submarines are just awesome in terms of being able to go under the water. Those are an additional charge as well and create a really unique and fun experience. So as I was thinking about this presentation today, really I wanted to make sure that we talked about a few things. And these are questions that come up often, right? Who can or should go on a expedition voyage? What do you do on an expedition voyage? When you look at our our itineraries say, Antarctic experience or Arctic experience or South Pacific experience. That's what they'll show on those days where we're, not going to a particular spot, just a remote location. And so I wanted to talk through that and make sure everybody's clear on what we do and how we curate that. And then you hear a lot of this. How cold is it? The pictures, I will tell you, make it look colder than it is. This is summer in the Antarctic and then summer in the Arctic. So we'll talk about that. And then the Drake Passage. I think that's taken on a bit of a life of its own. And so we'll talk a little bit about the Drake Passage experience and what that's actually like and how you can hedge against that challenge. So the Seabourn expedition difference, we've touched on it. It's the ship, right? We have purpose-built these ships for cold regions, and we do a really nice job with that. We're able to do some pretty cool things. I will show you an image of one of the things here in just a bit that we were able to do that I think provides a really fantastic immersive experience landing on sea ice. It is really quite a thing. And then we have 24-member expedition teams. These individuals, I like to say, are fantastic human beings. They are doing yeoman's work. They've done this in many cases for decades and really understand the expedition space. They understand these destinations, and typically they're experts in something or some things. And they do a lot of expedition talks throughout the days. You will get an opportunity once, twice, or 3 times a day to go to a different presentation. You may learn more about krill than you ever thought you wanted to know and its importance to the food chain in Antarctica and what all the animals are that feed on it. There's presentations on sharks and whales and penguins, birds. We've got bird guys, ornithologists that are on board the vessels that really know this deeply and provide a lot of that backstory. And so it really is awesome from that standpoint. Then we've got these zodiacs. The zodiacs are the foundational piece that drive all the activities throughout the day. So this provides the landings, going to those remote spots, getting out, taking hikes, going on walks, getting up close to penguins. And when I say up close, they won't leave you alone. They're not scared of anything, and they just waddle around there. It's their beach, and they're going to walk right up to you. You are encouraged to keep your distance, but sometimes it's really hard because they won't leave you alone. They're very playful and engaging. And then we have our sea kayaks, and this is again an additional charge for the sea kayak trip. Highly encourage anyone that has that opportunity to do the sea kayaks. They really, it's such a cool experience to get down at water level and experience the penguins, experience the icebergs, experience the seals. It is really something special. And then our 2 6-person submarines that I mentioned can do some really unique things. And just the technology alone is so cool, and people are really mesmerized by that. And we do that in that Seabourn all-inclusive way, right? And I think that's what makes the magic happen for us is, Seabourn, that experience of ultra luxury that everyone has come to expect from Seabourn happens on these expedition cruises. So you're coupling that beautiful, beautiful food, beautiful personal space in your suites, the attention of the suite host and attendants, the bars, the club, the restaurants, all of that gets combined with these deeply immersive experiences throughout the day, creating a really, really magical experience. This just highlights it, right? This is our veranda suite, entry level suite. All of these start out around 360 square feet with including the balcony. So there's lots of space in these rooms. It really, we're trying to make this a home-like environment. The bathrooms are huge. There's a double marble vanity and a shower and a bathtub separated. So again, really gives you lots of great options. And then the panorama penthouse suite is one of the coolest rooms on the expedition ship. These are the only rooms that are not carpeted. So there's carpet again for everywhere else except these, and there's 8 of these on each of the expedition ships. and these have heated floors. So really, these sell out quickly on all the voyages, and again, really make for a great experience. And then the Winter Garden Suite, I can't do any presentation without pointing out the Winter Garden Suite, which I think is one of the coolest suites on the high seas today. This is a two-story, so it's on two different decks, but connected by the staircase that you see in that photo. And it is floor to ceiling, two-story. This is like a downtown, high-end condo. Has a beautiful living space on the first floor, bathroom, powder room, all of the things that you would need in this kind of living space. It also connects to additional veranda suites, so you can actually make a larger footprint for clients that are going with multiple guests or family. And then the second floor is a king size bed, and it is that whole balcony level on that next deck up is really the bedroom. It's the master suite. Really an incredible experience. Let's take just a quick tour of the ships, Venture and Pursuit. This will give you some visuals of what this all looks like. So that gives us a little run around the ship to see both of them. Like I said in the beginning, these are sister ships, so they are identical. The only thing that you would see different on these ships would be the artwork on the walls. All of that is curated by individual artists that have produced all the work on board. There's a fabulous spot up on deck 10 where there's a picture of the artist. There's bio on the artist, and talks about the item that they created on board. So it really is a once, a one shot deal in terms of, they've got this piece of art on this ship, and it really exposes that quite nicely. So again, just a quick visual of the world, right? We're doing a north-south circle with our venture. So that's doing the Antarctic summer, then the Arctic summer, and some fun things in between, which I will mention as we go here. And then our pursuit does the Antarctic summer, which is just over, and then is heading off towards Australia through the South Pacific. It's going to do some itineraries in Indonesia and New Guinea. Again, some really, really, really cool options. So these are pictures from the trip that I was just on in the Antarctic. This is sort of live action on a Zodiac. This is the kind of visuals that you are getting throughout the experience. We do 11 and 13-day trips, so it's either 5 days on the continent or 7 days on the continent, and that means that you are landing, putting feet on the continent, doing hikes, hanging out with the penguins. 5 or 7 days. Would highly encourage anyone that's going that distance to take the extra couple of days and do the 13-day if at all possible. It is a long trip from North America. It's especially from the West Coast. You've got to cross our country, then get a flight out of New York or Atlanta or Miami, and then it's still a long ways to Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires is the starting point for the trip. There's an overnight in Buenos Aires, and then a charter flight to Ushuaia for the pickup spot. And that's about a 4-hour flight from Buenos Aires to Ushuaia to get to the very tip of South America. So it is a long ways, and I would highly encourage anyone to do a pre and post on both ends. It is just such a long journey. And just the way the timing of this works, right? We ask that you get into Buenos Aires the day before the charter flight, but depending on flights, that can arrive late in the day. Anything gets delayed, you're getting in late at night, and then you're leaving quite early for the charter flight. So it really does pay to have a night or two, or even more. Plan some additional trips and make that happen for your guests. I had mentioned earlier that I was going to show a photo of one of the cool things that we're able to do with the Zodiac. So this is a late in the season opportunity. So the sea ice by the end of the summer has broken up. Sea ice doubles the size of Antarctica. It freezes 1 meter to 3 meters thick in the ocean. So this is frozen ocean water. And it is all the flat ice that you see. Anything that has a bump to it or any kind of incline, that's all calved off glaciers, and those become icebergs. But this sea ice, late in the season, there are big chunks of this sea ice. We were able to do Zodiac landings onto the sea ice, which was absolutely thrilling. People were overwhelmed by this experience of punching the front of that Zodiac up onto the ice, climbing off, and getting off onto this floating, meter thick of ice, as the expedition guide said, 415 meters from there to the bottom of the ocean. So it is just this really iconic, cool experience that can happen late in the season. In the early part of the season, I don't have a photo of this, but the ship itself, when the sea ice is still attached to the shore, it can actually punch its way into the ice, put the gangway down, and the first couple of cruises of the season, if the ice conditions are right, we can do that. And that is really cool. And get to walk around on the ice right off of the ship. Champagne can get served down there. It is really an awesome up-close experience with Antarctica. The next slide is no joke. This was right off the Zodiac. I was sitting right behind this person's arm that's resting on the side of the Zodiac, and people were absolutely squealing with delight. These minke whales were playing with our 4 or 5 Zodiacs that were in this area. And we would try to, scoot away. They would keep coming underneath, along the side, and their heads kept popping up. There was an opportunity, one of the other Zodiacs just off of this, out of this shot, another minke whale came up and actually blew through his blowhole and kind of blew water and whale stuff all over 3 or 4 of the passengers in the Zodiac. They were squealing with delight. I mean, this is such an up-close sort of wildlife experience that you can have in these remote places. And then this is my paddle looking off of the kayak that I'm in. Again, we had some glorious days. One of the things people say is, "Oh my God, is it so cold and we can't go?" Really, anytime is okay. You really do need to. It's summer, so the temperature is going to be probably 28 degrees at its coldest, maybe up to about 40 in terms of air temperature. But on a sunny day like this, you're peeling off layers if you're doing anything like kayaking or hiking. It is quite warm when you're out and about. So again, you just have to dress for whatever those conditions are, and they are variable. In our 7 days on the continent, we had 3 days that were like this. We had an incredibly stormy day, which we still got out in, and then 3 overcast days, right? So it really is a mix of lots of different experiences.
John, we have a couple things in the chat here.
Okay.
One is asking about route and date time frame that you would suggest for someone who wants to do the Northern Lights. So that would be the Arctic. But what do you have for recommendations there?
Yeah, so the Arctic, Northern Lights and actually Southern Lights occur too, but it's going to happen at the tail end of the seasons. So for the Arctic specifically, those trips that would go in late August is probably still a little early, but any of the September departures could potentially see Northern Lights. And that's when, in 2025, we're going to do the Northwest Passage, and that's going to happen in late August and September. We're going to go from Reykjavik to Anchorage, and then Anchorage back to Reykjavik. And those will be the itineraries. And that second trip, the one that goes from Anchorage back to Reykjavik, is probably a really good opportunity to see Northern Lights in the Arctic. But certainly that option is there.
And
Was there
then
another one?
Yep, there's a question about the Drake Passage.
Yeah. So the Drake Passage is it is what it is. I said that it's sort of taken on a bit of a life of its own. All of our journeys allow a 48-hour window in each direction. So 48 hours across, 48 hours back. In its purest form, you could probably do it in a day if you just got going and went at the capacity speed of the ship. So we've built in extra time, and what that allows us to do is really watch for the perfect window to cross the Drake Passage. And so the captain and his team are really focused on that. There's wind speed indicators, there's current speed indicators, all of those things get put into play. I will tell you, when we got back from our trip, and so we landed in Ushuaia, the trip takes off. It's supposed to take off at 6 o'clock in the evening. They said, no, let's go at 2 o'clock, right? So they moved up the departure time. Everyone's on the charter flight, so you're all there anyway. They moved up the departure time because they wanted to get out and get through some of the worst of it. So they'll do that on both ends. So they can speed up, they can slow down, they use their charts. I would tell you there's conversation of the Drake Lake. I'm not sure it's ever absolutely flat. There's just too much going on in that, the way that water gets concentrated, there's going to be some swell. But in both directions for us and most of our trips last year, there were 3-meter swells, which, that's motion, right? You're going to feel that, but it's not throwing things around the boat. You're going to have a little bit of a tilt to your walk as, you go up and down the halls. And I think most people took the precaution of using the scopolamine patches. Some people used wristbands. There's other medications that you can ingest just to be on the safe side. But very few people had such a reaction to the motion that they couldn't enjoy the trip. And then once you get into the protected, areas of the Antarctic Peninsula, you're really not getting, any of that motion once you get there. So it really is that crossing. We have elected to do none of the air crossings. The air crossings present different challenges. In terms of weather and storms, and all of that affect airplanes just as much. So it's a challenge to get an airplane in sometimes. And when those don't work, there isn't that flexibility that we've got on the ship where we can hold in port. We don't have to leave as soon. We can do different things. With the airlines, you miss the flight, you potentially are left there for the next round of the trip. So it really is. I would say don't overplay it and don't underplay it. It's part of the adventure. It is part of the trip.
And then there's another question about typical age of clients for the expedition because they want to know if teenagers are welcome.
So yes, I believe technically if you're under 6, we won't accept a reservation on expedition. There is no age limit. I think it's 6 months on, on our ocean ships, but it's, they really want to be able to have someone that can, sort of take commands, do what they're asked to do, right? Be aware of their surroundings. And so teenagers are, would be awesome on the trip. You have to have the right teenager because there's no kid programs. There's not going to be a lot of other kids, if any other kids. So if they can travel with adults, if they want a life expanding experience, they will have an incredible time. The way this is curated by our expedition team, kids, certainly teenagers could and would enjoy this experience. The wildlife, the kayaks, the submarines. I mean, it's a really, really cool experience for, for multi-gens. In terms of the age, we have driven down the average age by at least 10 years from our ocean ships. So we're probably in that 50, I would say 50 to 65 is probably the typical age range. But on the trip I was on, we had 240 people on board. Every suite was taken. So we had nearly a dozen solos, a great experience for solo travelers. But there was a 35-year-old woman that was on board solo, just, wanting to take the trip of a lifetime, a tech worker from San Francisco. So again, it's really a wide range of ages. And that's part of what we're trying to do with how we've built these itineraries and everything, is to make this, conducive for people that are, still have to work. And Starlink is on all of our ships. They started on the expedition ships, but now they're on all the ocean ships. And I can tell you, after being on board using Starlink, I would have been able to do this Teams call or this Zoom call from the ship. It is really a phenomenal way to communicate, and so people can do that. We really encourage people to enjoy the trip though, and not just go to work. But the views from the ship are phenomenal as you pass by.
All right, we are out of time.
All right.
If you want, you can go ahead and send the slide deck. I can send that out to everybody.
Sounds good.
Appreciate you doing this. And anyone else who
Absolutely.
has questions, if you go ahead and send them to me, I can get them over to John.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks so much.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.